Thanks for joining us today for our online user group about Creatio Marketplace. So the marketplace is filled with a lot of really cool apps that can help enhance your Creatio experience. And our team is going to speak to today, how you can get started with some of those marketplace apps, what some of our favorite marketplace apps are, and some general best practices around applying those marketplace apps. So my name is Deneen Madura. I'm the Director of Marketing here. If you've been on a user group with us before, you know that I always make sure that you get any relevant materials after the user group. So tomorrow you can expect an email from me with a breakdown of some of this information so you can reference it later. If you have any questions, obviously, as Megan and Anjum are presenting, you can also toss those into the chat and we'll get to those as we go along. Megan, our Director of Project Management, and Anjum, our business analyst, are going to be taking us through the discussion on Marketplace today. And so I'm just going to hand the floor over to them to get us started.
Thanks, Deneen. So hi, everyone. So our agenda for today, as Deneen described, we're going to be talking about what exactly is Creatio Marketplace, give you an overview of how to install Marketplace applications, and then go through some of our favorite Marketplace applications. So what is Creatio Marketplace? Basically, the first version of Marketplace was released a couple of years ago. And then since then, applications and processes have been growing continuously. Currently, there are more than 650 marketplace solutions that are available and have been delivered by over 130 or more developers and partners. It's used by more than 55% of Creatio Cloud customers who leverage at least one marketplace product. And basically, they're applications that are used to, extend the functionality of all of Creatio's out-of-the-box functionality, and then bring additional functionality pieces to the custom apps and the processes that you create. You can access Creatio through the Creatio website, through Creatio Academy, or through community, and then, of course, directly from your own Creatio instance. So there's some categories and that Marketplace has, and some search tips. Some of the categories are templates, connectors, add-ons, software solutions, and applications, of course. So templates are specific, ready-to-use templates of business processes or functionality that you can install on top of your Studio platform or CRM product suite, and then start tailoring and reconfiguring those in order to make them work according to your business needs. Templates are available for a variety of different use cases. Examples are like business, trip, or vacation management, request management. Most organizations have a lot of common processes that vary slightly, but have a majority of common features. So these templates can be utilized for those processes, and then configure them for some specifics for each different type of organization. In the end, this helps accelerate time to market and value when implementing Creatio. Connectors are ready-to-use integrations and connections to various applications. Connectors can help quickly install licenses and connect to any third-party application, like ERP system, e-signature application, accounting systems, any omni or multi-channel communications. Those are a few. Connectors extend standard features with additional functionality of a third-party application that specialize on those features for a specific market, for example, the accounting software. Connectors extend like the native functionality of Creatio and add some additional insights as well, like also social media listening tools. Next, add-ons are basically functionality pieces, modules or business objects that can extend standard functionality of Creatio. They bring additional rich functionality to your existing application and more features with just a couple of clicks. For example, like GDPR compliance processes, Excel report builders, which we'll go through. Basically, there's an application for needs of all customers that are useful when creating a process or an application for an end user, or being an end user and working with an add-on, for example, like a Kanban view in any section of Creatio. Software solutions are directed for some industries that have specific functionality needs. Basically, they deploy specific business applications relevant to industries like pharmaceutical, real estate, automotive agencies. They are ready to use, and they install components that extend and make the out-of-the-box solution tailored to those industries. We'll go through one for PHARMA later. Basically, this helps to be successful with the delivery of the application for specific requirements around a specific industry. Applications, basically, there are a variety of different applications, and more than half of them that are available are free and no additional licensing is involved. They're ready to install and ready to go. Some are subscription-based or have a one-time payment. They're available for cloud and on-prem solutions. There are trial periods available for many. You can try before you buy the solutions. Make it very easy to contact the partner, the publisher, to request a demo for some more complex applications. There are applications which are Creatio certified, and that's verified that all the code, design, the business logic is compliant with Creatio standards and follows best practices to bring value for end users and customers. Some search tips when searching for applications. Creatio has made it really easy to look for applications. Basically, just type some keywords describing the functionality you're looking for into the search bar, and all different types of everything's in the different categories will show up if it's a template or an application or an add-on relating to the function that you type, or you can just go through some of the major categories that they're listed under, like there's industries, connectors, or applications, and just browse through the selections. You can click on and see product information for the specific application. So what to expect when you visit Marketplace. I'll go through this and show you how it looks. So basically, there are a list of all the different applications in the various categories. When you click on each application, you'll see a product description, pricing and support, the installation and setup of what platform it would work on, and details around the creator as well. Go ahead. Sorry, I'll go. Oops. Go back. I'll go back and demo how you can look for that. So basically, you can access, like I mentioned, Creatio, the marketplace directly through the Creatio app, or through, I'm sorry, not the app, through the Creatio website, or through your instance directly. So to access through your instance, click on your gear icon, go to System Designer, and you will see basically this marketplace link here, which you can see a few of the solutions here if you click on Marketplace. That would take you directly to the different list of applications available. This is listed basically here. So solutions for a specific industry type. These are applications listed for connectors, and then all the applications that are provided. So, you know, like for searching, you can look for, if you're looking for printables, to search for that, and then anything relating to that application will be displayed. To get more information, you can click on that. It would tell you what type of application it is. So it's an add-on. It's available for on-site deployment or cloud. They have videos describing all the features about it. If you go down below, there's a good product description and additional resources provided. You can click on pricing and support, which would tell you if it's free or if there's a cost associated, and if there's a trial period that you can subscribe for. Installation information, which tells you what platform and versions that it is available for. So there is quite a lot of information provided around the application before you actually install it. I will go back to, I'll hand it over to
Yep, I'll take it.
Megan.
You have to stop sharing your screen first for me.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing we want to talk about is about how to install applications from the marketplace. Before we actually get to the how-to, a couple of key best practices to keep in mind. First of all, you always want to install something in your sandbox first. These marketplace add-ons are all tested by Creatio. However, you never know how an add-on is going to be compatible with your other customizations and other apps you might already have installed. So it's always a good idea to test it in your sandbox first, make sure it doesn't interfere with anything else that you're already doing or already using. And that it does what you want it to do. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is it gives you a chance to test it out and make sure it, it actually meets your need. The other best practice I've got listed here is you probably want to do your production installation outside of heavy usage time, so probably outside of business hours, because installing the application will compile your site, which if you guys have compiled your site before, which most of you probably have, makes it unusable for a few minutes while the compile is happening. So just keep in mind that installing it will compile the site. And so you want to make sure you're doing that installation at a time when you're okay with that compile happening. The other thing I'll just point out before we get to how to install them is you will need an account with Creatio's website platform, essentially, in order to install an application. So if you don't already have an account for either Marketplace or Academy or Community, those three are all tied to the same platform. So if you have an account for one of them, you have an account for all of them, but it's separate than your actual Creatio login to your Creatio site. So this is not at all related to having a login for your Creatio environment. It's a separate login for Creatio resources. And so if you don't have an account, you'll need to sign up for one. It's, it's free, it's easy. It's just a matter of having to get that step done. And then once you are logged in, you can install in a couple of different ways. So there's like a click-through marketplace installer that you can use. I'll show you what that looks like. And then we do have a blog we published recently that had a step-by-step walkthrough of how to use that. Or you can actually just download the package and install it directly through Application Hub. So whichever one, is your preference, whichever works better for you, you have the option to do it either way. So here I am on the marketplace with an app that I want to install. I'm already logged in, otherwise it would prompt me to log in before it will let me actually install anything. And I just click the install button right here on the page. And here I have those two options. I can either use the click-through installation wizard, or I can download the package and go into Application Hub and upload that package myself and install it. So if I'm going to use the install wizard, I just have to put in the URL of the site that I want to install this in. It helps if you're already logged into that site before you click this button as well. Otherwise, it's going to take you to a login screen, and sometimes it kind of gets lost in the login process on what you're actually trying to do. If it's a free plugin, or sometimes even if it's not, you might have to accept some sort of offer agreement, and then just go ahead and click the install button and it will walk you through the installation from here. Typically there's like an extra confirmation screen that you're saying, yes, I really do want to install this. And then it will go ahead and install that, and it will give you a confirmation when it's done. And some of them can install really quick. Some of them might take 3 to 5 minutes, depends on kind of the scale of how many changes are included in that particular package. So you've got the capability there to, you know, just realize that that app might be a big app or a small app. We'll see a variety of examples here because that's actually the next thing we're going to go into. I did just see there's a question in the chat about packages. So you don't have to create a new package for installing the application because it's already in its own package. Yep. So every app is its own package. And so it will automatically be a separate package in your Creatio site when you do the installation. So there's a ton of stuff on Marketplace. I've not obviously had time to look at in detail every single thing out there, but there are a good handful of things on the Marketplace that we find ourselves using over and over again. And this is just a subset of those. We didn't have, you know, whole unlimited time today to talk to you about every application we love. But we picked out a few of our favorite apps, and we're going to walk you through what those do, just to give you some ideas of some of the things you might find on Marketplace. And maybe you'll find something that is of interest to you. Or maybe it will spark an idea for you of something else you want to go look for on the Marketplace. So the first one we're going to look at is probably the #1 most used one for me, at least. I pretty much install this for every single one of our customers when I'm starting a project with them. And this is the reload data button. So this is a free app. It was actually created by Creatio. And it just adds a reload button to every page, every record page and every list page, so that you can reload data without doing a full page refresh. It makes the refresh process a lot less painful. So that instead of having to wait for the entire page to refresh and rebuild all the cache, if I want to reload this list and see if there's any new data that fits my search, I can just click my reload button here and it just refreshes my data instead of the full screen. Same thing if I'm in a record. I have a refresh data button here. I can reload just the data on my screen rather than the full screen. And I can even do that with any of my detail lists throughout the record. So if I want to reload a specific list on the page, I'll have that reload button available everywhere. I find that this is a really simple but nice time saver for users. I use it myself all the time. If I'm in a site that doesn't have it installed, I always end up looking for it and realizing it's not installed, and then asking the customer I'm working with for permission to install it, because it, is something that I miss if it's not there. I will say this is actually now a standard function for Freedom UI Designer pages. So if you've started using any of the 8.x Freedom UI Designer pieces in Creatio, you won't need this add-on anymore once you've transitioned to using those pages, because it's included on those pages by default. I'll actually have a couple comments about things that do or don't work with the Freedom UI pages currently, as things stand right now, because right now we kind of have that transition period going on where some things are starting to use the new Freedom UI Designer. A lot of the app is still using the old Section Wizard Page Designer. So you'll see some differences for some of these add-ons with how they interact with those two different versions of pages. All right, the second one on my list here is the Calculated Metrics app. So this is another free one. It was developed by Creatio Dev Labs, which is basically just meaning that it's someone at Creatio other than the core product team. And it adds a new report type for dashboards called a calculated metric. So essentially, if you're familiar with metrics on your dashboard, that's when you're calculating something like a count or a sum of a field for a particular set of data. The calculated metrics lets you do more complex calculations as part of that metric. So I think the biggest thing here that I have found is that each part of the calculation gets set up separately. So you can apply different filters. Like I can say, you know, how many opportunities do I have total? How many of them have been won? Or how many activities have been scheduled total? How many of them have been completed? Something like that. And I can set up the different logic with different filters for those two different things that are part of my calculation. So if we jump over to Creatio, I've got that one installed here. Here's a simple dashboard that I built. These two are standard metrics. So it's just counting how many opportunities have been won this year and how many opportunities have been lost this year. And those are using the standard metric capabilities. So just a simple setup here where it's not wanting to load for some reason. Interesting. Let me refresh this page. I installed an app at the last minute for the demo, so I might need to just refresh things after that. There we go. All right. So this is just your basic standard metric. In this case, I'm doing a count, but I can also do a sum or an average. But I can't do something more complex than what's in this list here. And so if I want to do something like, out of all the opportunities that we've closed this year, what percentage of them did we win? Well, a standard metric can't do that, but a calculated metric can. So this add-on just adds another option to your dashboard menu to build a calculated metric. And it gives you an array of additional functions that you can do where you're doing different types of math. This number times that number, this number plus that number, this number divided by that number. And by the way, you can actually define your own functions as well if there were other calculations you needed besides this default set. So for my calculated metric, I wanted to know what percentage of opportunities we've won this year. So I did a percentage, A divided by B times 100 as my formula. And then what you do is you set up how to calculate number A in this formula and how to calculate number B in this formula. So how many opportunities have I won this year is my A, stage is closed won, closed on this year, versus how many opportunities total have I closed this year? My filter is just closed this year, so dropping off that stage filter. And so I'm saying take the number of opportunities I've won divided by the total number of opportunities I've closed and multiply it times 100 so that I get, 83 instead of 0.83. So really basic, really simple, but also really helpful in order to just kind of expand out the number of calculations that you can do with a metric. Here again, I did have a note on this one that as of now, at least, this only works with the dashboards and not home pages or Freedom UI dashboard pages. So this is working with the older dashboard functions right now. Currently, there's not a corresponding tool for homepage or Freedom UI pages, although I imagine that will develop over time. Third one I've got on my list here is the business card scanner. This is a pretty common request, although people are starting to get away from business cards now, I feel like. But if you're still, attending events and getting actual physical business cards handed to you, you don't want to have to type all that information in when you're done. This add-on adds a scan business card action to the mobile app, and it can create contacts or leads from that scanned business card. So I'm not going to actually demo this one because I don't want to deal with getting my phone screen shared with you all. But you can see from the screenshots here, it just adds a new action to scan a business card. And you can create a lead or a contact off of that, and it will just bring that information in. It will show you a preview of what it's going to look like before you save it to the record in Creatio. This is a good example of something that has some, good setup instructions. You do have to do some work in order to set this one up. It's got, it integrates with a scanner software, which is free, but you do have to sign up and set up that scanner function. So it will walk you step by step through how to do that. And most of the add-ons are pretty good at providing that documentation. Again, Creatio is good about, kind of requiring that as part of the process of adding something to the marketplace. I will say that's something to watch out for. Sometimes the Creatio connector on the marketplace is free, but the thing it's connecting to might not be. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at the setup, especially if it's connecting Creatio to another tool or to another software, that software itself may have a fee, even if the connector is listed as free. In this case, the software that it's using is also free, so no big deal there. All right, next one that also is pretty popular with a few of our customers is the Excel Report Builder. So the Excel Report Builder is a free add-on created by Creatio Dev Labs again. And this allows you to create Excel templated reports that you can download from Creatio, either from within a section or record or as custom reports. They've got some different options in terms of how you build your report and therefore how you use it. So essentially, this is just adding another reporting mechanism into Creatio in addition to dashboards and filters and folders and printables. This gives you another tool that you can use for getting your data out of Creatio. So I've set up a couple of reports here. They're not super exciting, but I just want to kind of give you some idea of how this might work. So I've got my Excel reports menu here because I've set up a report in my accounts section list where I can just download a list of the accounts that are in my data here. It does listen to my filters. So if I put a different filter on, I'd get different data in my download than I did in this case. I'm only going to have these 6 or 7, however many accounts that is there in my report this time. And within your report setting, you set up what columns you want to include in your report. So you might notice this isn't one-for-one matching with the columns that I had on my view in Creatio. It's the columns that I defined as part of my report. And the other thing you can do is you can create charts or pivot tables or things like that with your data. So Creatio is going to populate this tab for you, but then you can use that tab to create reports and just include those reports in your template. And so I have a couple of basic pivot tables in here and charts that I set up just as an example. And then you can also set up reports that you download directly from the Excel report section. I have that set up in my studio workplace, but you could put it in any workplace if you wanted all your users to access this function, through the main, sales list or whatever workspace your users are in. So this has a little bit more options in terms of filtering, and you can just generate the report from here. But essentially it's the same idea. It's going to give you that report of all of the data that's set up here in terms of my columns that I included. And again, I set up a couple of other tabs in here with some additional reports because I was playing around with this, just learning how to use it. So again, you have that flexibility to decide, where do I want this report to be run from? Do I want the users to see it right in the section, or do I want to build in that logic for what data to include right here in my filters? And then I did see there's a question in chat about roles. You can actually set that up right here within the report setting, is which users are going to be able to run this particular report. All right. And then I think I've got one more before I hand it back to Andrew. Yes, that's right. The printable attachments. So this is an add-on that works with Creatio's default printable report functionality. As you might know, if you use printables, the default functionality here in Creatio is the user downloads the report. Sometimes you just want the report to be attached to the current record rather than having to download it and then upload it back to Creatio. And so this is a free add-on that does that for you. So it just adds an action here in the attachment section. And I can show you this if I find the right window. There we go. So I've got a couple of printables in my opportunities section. This is just that default native functionality where I would download the printable if I click that action. So here it is. But the add-on gives me the option to just attach the printable directly to the record. So rather than downloading it, saving it into Creatio as an attachment. And obviously then I could also download it from here if I wanted to. But depending on what your process is and what you want to use that printable for, sometimes the download may not be necessary. Just saving it to Creatio might be what you need. And with that, I believe I'm going to turn it back over to Anjum. She's going to demo a couple more of her favorite add-ons, and then we'll move towards wrapping up.
Sounds good. Thank you, Megan. So another useful application that I'd like to discuss is Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp chat channel. These basically are created by Creatio, and these are also free applications. It's a platform feature, which means that it's available for studio, sales, marketing, service, and any product. It's not just limited to the CRM bundle. Basically, it allows the processing of messages from Facebook and WhatsApp in Creatio. So let me switch over to Creatio and show you a little bit about how that works. So here I'm in my contact section, and if I select a contact, basically you have these options for Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp. These can be, once the application is installed, you would basically set up the chat settings in the System Designer in the Import and Integration tab. Get down there under Chat Settings. Basically, it will show channels that are available. Currently, just downloaded the Facebook Messenger, but WhatsApp would also show here. You can set up a chat queue, which basically just says which teams and agents are using the chat, chat actions, and then add channels right here. So if we go back, for any of the agents that are active for chat, basically that setting would be in their profile. They can set up whether they're going to be active or inactive, and if they would receive any chat messages. In the menu bar on the right, this icon for chats, once that's clicked, it would show any chats that are available, or any chats that have come in. It would show a list by active or inactive chats. So once you set that to active, any chats that would come in would show up here, and you'd get a notification. So going back to another useful application. This is specific to the pharmaceutical industry. This is fairly new, created by Creatio. There is a cost associated with this one, which is $900 per user per year, and that varies based on cloud or on-prem. There is a free trial period with that. Basically, this application features customer segmentation, field force, and mobile sales. It gives you an access to doctors' contacts and information about all your field sales reps and pharmacies, the history of interactions, and gives a complete customer view, which enables you to develop like a suitable strategy for any customer interactions that you have. So for customer segmentation, basically the application groups customers based on the opportunity, loyalty level, and customer profiles and recommendations. So it segments the database based on additional parameters as well, like territory, pricing, and the season. Field force and mobile sales, it uses a built-in field sales application and creates a schedule of visits for each rep. It gives you the ability to set up rules or action items to complete for each visit for different categories of customers like doctors or pharmacies. You can monitor visits using geotags, using check-in and check-out. And then sales reps that are out on the field can use the PHARMA Creatio mobile app to view the locations on the map to plan their visits, and to monitor product availability and place orders on the app. And then once that's done, orders are placed or any check-ins, basically the results go on record in the system during and after the visit. Now the mobile app can be used both online and offline mode. So I won't be demoing the mobile app right now, but I'll show you a demo of the PHARMA application on the desktop. Let me pull that over to Creatio. Basically, in the activity section here, I can pull up my calendar view, which shows a list of all the upcoming appointments. This would show up in the field sales mobile app as well with the geolocation, so reps can plan out their visits based on location. If I click into a visit, it gives additional details. General information, the location information, which participants were included in that visit, and then the action items. So let me go back to one where action items were completed. Let me get rid of this. Let's try that one. So basically, when the field sales rep within the app, they can, once they arrive at the location, they would check in with using the geolocation feature. Once that's completed, the rest of the action items that can be configured through the app settings would show up in order that they're supposed to be completed in. So some of the the action items that we set up are presentation, the participants, if an order was placed, monitoring product stock, like at a pharmacy, any expenses incurred in the visit. And then once the visit's completed, they would check out. So these would show up in the app basically in order that they're required, and they can't be moved forward until the previous one was completed. So for check-in, I'll show you a feature that's pretty cool. Once the check-in is completed, managers can check and make sure check-in was, so it shows the location of the visit and where they've checked in. So this one wasn't done at the location, but you'd hope to see them being at the same place. So basically there's a lot of cool features here. Once the order is placed, it updates product availability, and all expenses and participants are all noted within that activity, which and the related records as well. So that's about it for our applications that we were going to preview with you. I'll hand it over to Deneen to go over some new releases that are coming up.
That'll actually be me, Anjum. But before I do that, I thought of one other thing that I wanted to add. It popped into my head back when Anjum was showing you what an app listing looks like, and I forgot to mention it then. Which is just pointing out that the reviews on the marketplace are a fairly new feature add for them. So there are not a lot of reviews out there yet. So just because you see something doesn't have very many reviews, this is not necessarily a major warning flag right now. Hopefully, people start adding reviews and that changes over time. But right now, I just wanted to throw out there, I feel like, if I'm shopping on Amazon and I see something has, no reviews, that I'm really suspicious of that. I don't apply the same logic to Creatio Marketplace because there are just not very many reviews out there yet. People haven't had a chance to do it for very long, and people, there haven't been that many people to take the time to do it yet. So if you are using Marketplace add-ons, please do write those reviews when you get a chance, because it will help other people, be able to better evaluate the Marketplace add-ons. All right. So that does then wrap up for real this time, I think, our presentation on Marketplace. As always, we like to talk with you about what's new in the latest release. It's always a good idea to know what to expect in terms of changes and making sure that you're ready to start using any of the new functions that come out. So version 8.03 was released at the very end of July. Included a variety of different changes, but a few of the highlights are here. So first of all, we're continuing to see Creatio make a lot of updates around the Freedom UI Designer, and this is absolutely their main focus right now. They are working towards that feature parity that we talked about a little bit in one of our previous user groups, with making sure that the Freedom UI Designer can do everything that the Section Wizard page designer could do, but also looking at other great new functions they can add. So one big change here is that the Freedom UI Designer now supports creating Freedom UI pages for any Creatio object, including any of your out-of-the-box sections and lookups. So you can take something like the accounts object or a custom object that you previously built, and you can now set up a Freedom UI page for it. They've also added some new button options and actions. And a really cool, nice new function is editable lists. So within any of your Freedom UI pages, and actually I set one up just so that you guys could see this. Let me find where I did that. It's a really basic object with not much in it, but just to quickly demo what this editable grid does for you is when you're looking at a list of data, you can now click to edit directly here on the page. And you can actually edit multiple records at once and then save all of the changes that you just made once when you're done at the end. And you can choose, for a particular page, which ones you want to be editable and which ones not. I also just realized I'm not sharing my screen, so you guys didn't see that. Sorry about that. But
wait, are you showing it, Megan?
I forgot that Anjum's showing her screen right now. But it does exactly what I just told you. So it allows you to click on a list page, click on any of the data fields that you have as a column and edit the data right there, and then save even multiple changes at once when you're done changing. Sorry about that. Got ahead of myself. The other big thing here is that business rules, which was a big function that was missing in the Freedom UI Designer, they're starting to tackle that now. So they have a beta of the business rules designer. It only does show and hide rules right now, not the other types of business rules, but this is a good first step in getting business rules into the new Freedom UI tools. So excited to see that. Other changes besides Freedom UI changes. So they've added a simplified single sign-on setup process for some of the major single sign-on products. So Azure, Active Directory, and Okta. If you're using sort of standard functions in either of those three tools to do single sign-on, you can now do the single sign-on setup directly from Creatio rather than having to work with Creatio support to set up your single sign-on. So just making that process a little bit easier and more seamless. They do still support other single sign-on platforms and more complex configurations. You would just still work with support for anything outside of those three products. Also added the ability to export chart and pivot table data to Excel from dashboards. That's specifically for homepage and Freedom UI pages, not for old dashboards, but for your homepage or any of your Freedom UI dashboards, you can now export data from your chart and your pivot tables. And same with this next one, drill down. So also for homepage and Freedom UI dashboards, you can now use drill down with gauge and metrics reports, which you could never do before with dashboards. Actually, let me rephrase what I just said because I think I read my notes wrong here on this one. So the export option already exists on old dashboards and they're adding it for homepage and Freedom UI dashboards. The drill down is a brand new function that's not available on old dashboards, but will be available on homepage and Freedom UI dashboards. Sorry about that. And then finally, if you are using Office 365 and you have email accounts integrated with Creatio and you're using basic authentication with Microsoft, which is basically using your username and password. Microsoft is deprecating the ability to use that basic authentication method for integrations because it's not as secure as some of their more modern authentication methods. So if you are using that basic authentication method, or if any of your users are, you'll actually see a pop-up message inside of Creatio warning you that you're going to have to switch to using the more secure OAuth authentication. And there's some links in the documentation to how to get that set up. It's probably something that has to be set up by your Microsoft admin first, but will change how your users are setting up that email integration inside of Creatio. All right, Deneen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, I'll get into this slide in a second, but I just want you guys to know, along with the clips of how to install an app and a few of our favorite apps and the full recording that I'm going to send, I'm also going to make sure in that follow-up email, that blog that Megan referenced about installing applications from the Creatio Marketplace, that link is going to be in there. And I'll also directly link to some of those favorite apps that Megan and Anjum covered. If there's ones that you definitely know you want, you don't have to go searching for them. You can just click on them through the follow-up email, and that should come to you tomorrow. So hopefully Creatio has reached out to you about this and gotten this on your radar, but if not, we just wanted to mention they're releasing their no-code playbook on October 4th. And basically that is this full best practices guide to implementing a no-code development lifecycle, how the governance framework should be set up, how you can work with different roles and responsibilities, and really just create the best no-code experience for your entire team. One of the most exciting things about that is that they're going to have the co-founder of Apple doing a presentation during that live event. So definitely something interesting to tune into and hear what he has to say about, you know, the changing software landscape and how that's affecting the way that we do business. I will include this registration link as well in case you have not registered for it yet and would like to. So I want to thank Megan and Anjum for this awesome presentation. Super helpful. Hope that you guys saw some interesting marketplace apps and got your wheels turning on things. And like I said, I will make sure to get all this follow-up info to you by tomorrow so you have it in your pocket. If there are any other final questions, pop them in the chat now. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.